Up and running, and Villa is loud.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. Merry Christmas to you all. But we thought we can't not get on a Christmas Eve evening to talk about Aston Villa. We do have lives apart from this, but we thought we'd bring you a show because the games are coming thick and fast, and we also wanted to spread a bit of Christmas cheer to everyone as well. So, Martin, how are you doing, mate? Good to see you. Merry Christmas to you.
Cheers, thank you. Merry Christmas to yourself and your family, and to everyone out there, to you and yours. Um, Rich, I'm not gonna lie, I'm just about recovered from my trip to Birmingham. There, I think I had more than a fair few, so because I was struggling. It's really no joke when they say the hangovers get a bit worse as you get older.
Try being 43, mate, and then you'll see what it's like.
I've another 16 years. Don't tempt me just yet.
But yeah, mate, I know. To be fair, I saw you on Luke's fan cam, and you seem to you seem to hold yourself well together well on that one. To be fair, mate.
But that's because I was in the first half. I'm not gonna lie. I was fairly steaming. George would tell you. I wasn't too hyper, but I was steaming enough. You could tell. And then I got myself a bit of food at halftime. I literally got myself a burger and a hot dog to actually soak up the alcohol. And I was grand then. As soon as I ate it, my energy kind of wind down. And George even said it to me like, "Did you catch second wind yet?"
Yeah, well, good, good, good. I'm glad you sorted yourself out anyway, and I'm glad you had a good time. You didn't see another victory. You didn't see a defeat, though. Okay, so
No.
we'll come to it in a second. But guys, we also want to say thank you so much for your support. We have surpassed 3,000 subscribers. I keep saying it. I've said it on the last couple of vids, but thank you so much for all your support. We've done it before Christmas as well, so thank you very much. I've still got the 2,900 one on at the minute. I need to get an updated one, but make sure you do like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, comment below. You'll get involved in the comments, all that jazz. If you want to join the channel and become a member, we had another one yesterday, the man with the golden gun, or James Bond, as he might like to be called,
Oh,
join the channel. So thank you very much for that. And we do have members only prizes as well, which Adamski won the other day. So yes, it's just $1.99 a month. But Deontay's in the chat. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to everyone celebrating. And Ian is in the house as well. Merry Christmas, guys. Thank you very much, mate. Merry Christmas to you. Um, yeah, and we want to keep the Christmas chat in the chat, guys. We do want to keep that going throughout the show. So yes, Martin, I touched on it there. You didn't see a defeat, didn't see a victory though. But
mhm.
how are you kind of feeling after the kind of late drama at Villa Park on Friday night?
To be honest, frustrated. Like that's what I was. I know Villa Twitter was all over the place. Cameron Archer's going to score. Cameron Archer's going to score. And what happens? He only goes and scores against us. And I was just sitting there going, I swear to God, if my first loss at Villa Park is against Sheffield United with a former Villa player scoring against us, I'll never hear the end of it. And then Zaniolo gets a goal, something that you probably didn't even imagine someone to come in for a late equaliser. And when it went in, yeah, I was jumping in joys and all, but then like after a few seconds, I calmed down and just said, I'm still not happy, like because I felt the thing that was missing in that game was Pau Torres.
Mm.
That distribution from centre half is something that we really missed. Don't get me wrong, Linglet did very well. He's seen the right idea, but if there wasn't the execution from Linglet compared to Torres, and that was the ultimate difference for me. And the rootlessness in the final third is something that was missing as well because we weren't really at our creativity best. And I know Gary Neville was on Sky Sports saying it was too formulaic. I mean, I don't know. He's probably an expert at his job in Valencia, but um, Personally, myself, I was frustrated, but at the same time, I'm not fuming because we're still in a good place after the Liverpool and Arsenal results. So there's still plenty of time for us potentially to go top of the league in the new year.
Absolutely, mate. And look, myself and Gareth talked about it on the earlier Talking Tactics show, so make sure you catch that. But
Mm.
you know, we did say if you don't score the early goal against a team like a Sheffield United,
It gets
or
more
any
frustrating.
team, yeah, you're going to get more
Yeah.
frustrating. The situation where players are coming in and not necessarily being fully familiar with the way that Emery likes to play,
Mm.
will kind of increase as the game goes on, and that's kind of what happened. And also the other team that you're playing against get that little bit more confidence. So yeah, it was always going to happen. I think the positives to take out of it is the late equalizer obviously keeps the loss from away from the record,
Mm.
and also I guess as well, like looking at it, the year that we've had. I mean, I saw I think it's Squawka Football or something did some tweet the other day, earlier. 82 points across 2023 that Unai Emery's
Yeah.
accumulated.
Only Man City having more,
Only
which is
Man City. And
ridiculous.
I mean, just to put that into
Ridiculous.
perspective, it's ridiculous, mate. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Because if you told me at the start of January this year only Man City will have more points than Aston Villa, I'd have bitten your hand off and say stop lying. But when you look back on the whole year, we've just been incredible to watch. And I seen a thing there today on Twitter that there was a thing fans voted for like the most boring team like in the Premier League, and Aston Villa was second bottom. So it goes to
Mm,
show not even just us, but clubs from outside of Aston Villa, like the club fans, they've really enjoyed watching us. And that's a testament to Unai Emery. That's a testament to everyone in the club that we've been really entertaining to watch and getting the victories. It's not like we're entertaining to watch and we're getting nothing from it. We're actually getting something from it. And you know who the most boring team was, Rich? And it's the team we're doing a preview against. It's Man United.
mm, yeah, yeah. Well, look, let's go into it then. Let's talk a little bit Man United. So we'll come to the actual Man United team in a second, but we always talk on kind of going to Old Trafford. It's not a happy hunting ground for Villa, no matter what kind of United team play. Is that kind of how you're approaching it? Are you kind of still got that little bit of tension of going to Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think something like that won't ever go away. It doesn't matter. Like I know people will always bang on about the typical Villa, but this one, don't get me wrong, it's not typical Villa anymore. But I still that journey to Old Trafford still wrecks my head because like it doesn't matter how bad United have been, they seem to just get a result against us every single time. Like they'll be incredible, and I'll fear going to Old Trafford. Where now they're absolutely useless, and we're going to Old Trafford, and a lot of fans are a bit like, I don't know, because it's just our record at Old Trafford, and we're probably right to think that way because look. But then again, if you go on the past year, we've been saying against things like, oh, I don't know, and we've been getting wins from them. This is probably another one of these chances, and for us potentially to go 14 points clear of Man United. I repeat, 14 points clear of Man United. If you told me that at the start of this season we could potentially go 14 points clear against Man United before the new year, no one would ever believe that. Everyone would probably be thinking like we might be a point or two above that you would take, but potentially 14. That's it's madness. And if we do win, I don't think United will be in the race for Europe at all.
Mm. Well, look, it is absolutely madness. And obviously, Man United are never far away from the headlines. Whether they're top of the league, whether they're kind of top two, top three, or whether they're kind of languishing as it stands. What are
Mm.
they, eighth or something at the moment?
I think they're ninth
That
now after
yeah,
West Ham winning.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're always going to garner stories and headlines, and today the takeover is apparently going to be announced. I mean, they're going mad that it's been announced on Christmas Eve. They're saying it absolutely sums the club up.
Mm.
Players kind of arguing with each other. You look at the game against West Ham. You've got players sort of wondering about. I mean, they are in absolute disarray at the moment. You can't say anything else.
Mhm. No, that's it. And this is what I always ask, and I think United fans are so, not all of them, but I think a good few are kind of deluded to the fact they're not performing well because of the situation with ownership, who's going to buy the club. That doesn't come into it. That's off the field. If you're not performing on the pitch, who's the first person to get the blame? The manager.
Hmm.
And Sky Sport hasn't come and said, "Oh, Ten Hag's under pressure in his job, like because he's not performing well." No, everyone's talking about the takeover, whether the Qataris were going to come in, and guess what? They're gone, and now they're talking about Jim Ratcliffe. They have not talked about how
Well, yeah, it's always
poor
about the
Man United's
Glazers, and
been.
it's always about they've not signed the right players. That's what it
But
always is.
here's my counter argument to that, Rich, because all United fans are saying, "Oh, Ten Hag hasn't got who he wanted." I'll give you a good few lists here. He wanted Onana, he got him. He wanted Mason Mount, he got him. He wanted Malacia, he got him. He wanted Lissandro Martinez, he got him. He wanted Anthony, he got him. He wanted Casemiro, he got him. He wanted, who else did he want? Rasmus Hoyland, he got him. I could go on and on and on with this list of players that he's wanted and he's got. A Rambat that all United fans were calling for, he went and got him. Ten Hag did. So he got the players he wanted, and they've taken setbacks.
Mm.
So,
Well, this
where
is the
in the
thing. Yeah,
situation of for United fans are they going to turn around and say, "Oh, he hasn't got the players he wanted. I've just given you about 8 or 9 players that he wanted, and it hasn't improved the team whatsoever."
yeah, yeah. Well, this is the thing. And look, I appreciate we're saying this before we play them, and that they could come out and play well tomorrow. That's notwithstanding what I'm going to say now.
Mm,
It's all there doesn't seem to be, and Villa have gone through this period. Absolutely, there doesn't seem to be too much of an identity. There doesn't seem to be too much of a way of playing that. And this is what Ten Hag was apparently kind of famous for, what he created at Ajax and the players that he got.
mm,
Um, and all they seem to be doing as it stands at the moment is relying on ridiculous moments from a Bruno or a Garnacho with the goal he scores against Everton, or a Rashford who's absolutely terrible at the moment, but they just
yeah,
seem to be, or McTominay is their top scorer, or I think they're relying on these moments in games where they've literally got no way of playing. Like there's no. They keep talking about this Man United way from when they had these flying wingers 20, 25 years ago. It might even been before you were born, Martin. I mean, this is kind of how it looks as it stands at the moment, because they're such a great institution, because they're such a historical club. But like you said, it's not about that anymore. It's about what they're doing on the pitch at the moment, and they just don't seem to have
mm.
any identity, any way of playing.
No, absolutely not. Because when they brought Ten Hag in, everyone was going, "Right, this is where we're going to start playing football." Now, admittedly, he had a good first year. I'm not going to fault the man. He had a good
Yeah.
first year. He finished top four. He won a cup. You for Man United for your first year, you would expect that to be somewhere and you win a trophy. The second year, he's completely flopped altogether. And he's not won away from home against a top 8 team in the Premier League in 2 years. Like, that's abysmal. Like, if you're talking, I'll put Poch in, for example, the job that he done at Spurs, getting to a Champions League final, finishing top 4, and then guess what? Like, a few months down the line when Tottenham were doing poor, he got the chop. It
Mm,
just seems like I think Ten Hag's getting away with it nearly because of the situation with the ownership, whether if your man comes in, is he gonna like change the manager when he comes in, or is he gonna say, "I'll stick to Ten Hag, give him a January transfer window," and he goes from there? But I just feel like he's kind of getting away with it at the minute due to the ownership upstairs, and there's no real focus on him. Where I would turn around and go, "Well, hang on a minute, the performances on the pitch have been poor." You don't point the finger at the Glazers. You don't point the finger at Jim Ratcliffe. You point the finger at the manager, and that's been at every club. He's, in my opinion, I think he's getting away with it. Very luckily, getting away with it.
yeah, yeah. Welcome to George. I will come to you in a second because I know exactly what you're going to say. I'm going to tee you up with this as well. But yeah, welcome to you, mate. Duncan said, "Man, you are the original plastic club." Um,
Hmm.
Lee says it's possibly irrational, but the last 20 years history versus Man United is going to take a few years of good results to heal. And Mark says he always fears going to Old Trafford. Martin's right. It doesn't matter how good or bad they've been. Hopefully, we can take advantage of their disarray this time. George. Merry Christmas, first of all. But yes, they still carry that little bit of fear and trepidation in Villa fans' hearts going to Old Trafford.
Yeah, hi everyone, Merry Christmas and all that. yeah, look into this game, mate. It's been quite fun actually watching Man United struggle. It really has. Excuse me. I'm thoroughly enjoying their decline. But as you just said there, boys, every year at Old Trafford, I mean, even last year, I mean, we were better than them from the second Emery walked in. We were a far better team than Man United from that very moment. And they still managed to beat us 2 out of 3 of the games. So There's just something about United, especially away from home. They always find a way. That little rat Fernandez always scores a goal against us. So yeah, I just don't like this fixture, and I don't fancy us Boxing Day. But I've chatted to Kev earlier, and Kev really fancies us strongly.
He does.
I'd rather
Big
be
time.
Kev than me.
Well, look, we'll get score predictions later, but I've got a feeling that yours is going to be very conservative, shall we say, with the old score prediction. But yeah, I mean, the other point you talk about them being in disarray, Martin. Let's talk, one or two of their players. I've mentioned a few already, but the likes of Rashford. Really looks out of sorts. Bruno again, kind of captain, but does he have the kind of captain material about him? They're still playing Johnny Evans at the back. I think they've gone through 10 or 11 different centre-back partnerships this season. And then, courtesy of AVFC Stato, Rasmus Højlund hasn't scored in, is it 16 Premier League games or something this season?
We know how this goes, boys. We know how this goes. We know how this
is
goes.
exactly why I teed you up for it. But yeah, I mean, they are like. I mean, is there anything are there any players that we should be really fearing at the moment at Man United? Do they strike fear into the opposition?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone's gone to United or United traveling over has gone, oh, I fear Man United. They're not the Man United of old. They're not the Man United from 1992 to 2013. They're not that Man United anymore. They're not that typical. When you go to Old Trafford, you've already lost the game, but like literally, you've already lost the game. No, anyone can go to Old Trafford now and play their game, and and I can understand that would be very frustrating for United fans, because if it was us, we'd be saying how dare someone like impose their game against us at Villa Park. But they're not that Man United anymore. They're not the Man United where you will go against a Rio Ferdinand and Vidic who would play consistently and on a consistent basis. And like you've said, they've changed 10, 11 different partnerships in centre back. They're your two positions in the football field that you should never change, in my opinion, unless one's either injured or suspended. Other than that, you don't change it, because you need solidarity in your two centre halves or three at the back, whatever way you play football. But I don't fear anyone. If I was going to be worried about someone, it would be the referee. Like, I just don't have any fear. I just don't have any fear in Man United. I mean, for me personally, I think McTominay is their best player. Like, he's the top goal scorer. He's the only one I can actually see who cares, because he's Man United through and through. He's been through the academy. He's been there when obviously Ferguson was there. And I know a lot of Man United fans will bring that up, but he's the one who cares. And you look at the rest and go, because Bruno, for me, horrible captain. I mean, last year there when he was losing 7-0 to Liverpool, he said to the manager, "Why am I still on the pitch?" Now, if you're a captain and you're losing 7-0, that's not the attitude to have. I would have stripped it straight away from him. I think if anyone should be captain, and if any United fans are watching, forgive me, I'd give it to McTominay. He's the only one who cares about the club. He is, and you need someone with a leadership who cares about the club. And Rashford's the perfect patch player. He always has been. There's always a few months where he's on form. Yes, he may get 10 plus goals every year, but
Martin, he got 30 goals last year, mate. What has happened to him? 30 goals.
It's
30
crazy.
goals.
It's
They're
crazy
across all
the demise. Yeah,
but like then he gets a good few months, like from January to the end of the year, and everyone's going, "Oh, he's unbelievable, he's unbelievable." But someone from a different podcast, I can't remember the name of it, had said last year he was playing for a contract, and then he just fell off.
Well, look, it's they still have some names there, and like I said, they do sometimes come up in big moments, but like you said, Martin, there isn't any, haven't got that old kind of fear factor really going to them and really kind of struggling. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of comments. I will come to the comments in a second. I did want to touch on, and I noticed this as well, like, and I'll come to you, George. The other part of Man United is the famed academy that they had with all the players that came through in the 90s. I looked at their bench, and granted they've got a lot of injuries, but I mean even the young players that they're bringing on, like they're not. I wouldn't even say they were championship level. Like Palestri, his name is, the guy who was on loan at Birmingham City last season. He did okay, but
Hannibal.
Hannibal. Like I mean, some of them. I know I look at some of the quality that we've had that hasn't got into the Villa first team, the likes of Cameron Archer, the likes of Aaron Ramsey, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, what is it that Man United are producing, even in terms of their young players?
Yeah, sorry. Well, it wasn't actually Hannibal. I think it was Chong, wasn't it? Is that
No,
yeah?
no,
You're
it
right.
was Hannibal.
Yeah,
It was
it was.
Hannibal. Yeah, it was.
Was
It
it
was
Hannibal?
Chong was a couple of years ago. Chong's now at Luton.
Oh, okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
I thought Chong was at Birmingham last season.
I did, but whatever.
Both of them were. Both of them
Oh,
were.
both of them were okay, but then fair enough.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
fair
I remember
fair
that
play to
Hannibal
Man
scoring
United,
a good
Rich.
free kick. Yeah.
Yeah, fair play. They still, I mean, they've always done it, haven't they? They've always bought through one or two every season, regardless of the quality, and they've always managed to, at least get in the squad and make a little bit of an impact. And they're still trying to do it now. But as you say, probably over the years, the quality of that player has regressed, and generally they just turn into every other club, and their youth just turns into someone they can make a few quid out of, isn't it? There's not many properly getting in. Like, was McTominay one of their youth boys, or did they buy him?
No, McTominay came through the academy.
Yeah,
so they've got one.
Rashford was more by chance than anything. Like he grabbed his opportunity in a Europa League game, I think it was.
He got very lucky because Rooney was injured for that game.
Yeah.
Then Martial got injured in the warm up, and he goes and
Yeah.
gets 2 goals. He started against Arsenal, did the same again. So
I mean, obviously there was Mason Greenwood, and that's gone how that's gone. So they've always got a splattering of youth there, but just as a club, I just think United have rested on their laurels. They had the best of everything. They had the best manager in Fergie. They had, to me, they had all the refs, all the authority in their pockets, and they got away with murder for a long time. They had the biggest stadium, they were the biggest club, and I think they had the most money. They just rested on that, and and slowly but surely over the last decade, teams have caught up with United and now surpassed them, and now they're kind of scratching around, thinking, why don't people want to come at Man United anymore? Why are people choosing Liverpool? Why are people choosing Man City? Imagine 10 years ago choosing Man City over Man United. It was, completely not even a question. And United have been caught on the hop. And and you hear this, this Jim Ratcliffe that's coming in, apparently an expert. He's got all the ideas. He's got all the experience. He knows what's going on. But I think it's a bigger job than what he thinks. 10 years is a long time in football to be out in the wilderness. Would a young player now think of Man United how we would have thought of Man United when we were young? I don't think that's a first-class destination.
Absolutely not. And also, you're right. You're right. And also going to the ground, it's falling apart. The training ground, like you said, this Jim Ratcliffe, from their perspective, hopefully he comes in and does good things. But it's like, where would you start? Where do you start with that? What's your 10-point plan? Like, do you go on the pitch and then try and get results to then try and bring through the academy and upgrade the ground, or do you go the other way around? Do you go academy and build it up through that way? In which case, you're probably going to have to wait 4 or 5 years to win anything. It's a really difficult one to solve, but obviously
it's not overnight fix, that's for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Few comments coming in. Mikey Holmes says we should be going there top of the league with the results this weekend, so hopefully we can put the Friday result right and keep pushing. CC is in the house. I think United will be a wounded bear. They'll have the crowd behind them, so we have to go at them from the kickoff. We need to roll up with energy and focus, go after them with pace and control. Nigel's with you as well, Martin. I'm fearing the refs now for the next few weeks. They're so influenced by Sky. Now that needs looking into.
Is this a Christian miracle? Loads of people agree with me all of a sudden.
Yeah, mate, it must be. CC, McTominay is only a good player in the box, though awful in midfield. Don't underestimate them, guys. I agree with all the comments, but they are capable. 100%, and they're reaping the rewards of an ownership that has been stripping them for years. This is what happens when mediocrity is your standard. Lee, onto us now. Only Man United have scored more than Man City. Have scored more than us. How weird is that? We don't feel like a free scoring side because we don't throw everything forward. Yes, we do. Yeah, exactly. We just create good chances. So on to Villa now. Obviously, coming into this Boxing Day game. George, I'll come to you first. How do you think we take the result from from Friday? Is it a case of, yes, momentum gathered because we got a late point, and we take that into Boxing Day with real confidence, or is it, you know what, we've scraped a few games, the last few we haven't really looked comfortable in any of them. Are we slightly fatigued and slightly, on the back foot?
It's tough to say. I mean, you could look at that either way, couldn't you? Everything you just said, but it was very important that we got that late equaliser. I mean, it wasn't a good result, let's face it. We were all going to Villa Park Friday thinking we're going to do the business tonight. I heard your boys' podcast. I heard 4s, 5s. I heard some big predictions there. And, all right, on the night, we didn't turn it on. Fair play to Sheffield United. They come there
I was
to get
sober
a
that
draw.
night, George, though.
yeah, we had quite the night, Martin, didn't we? Especially yourself.
Oh, we had quite the night, Georgie.
Yeah. But, at the end of the day, Sheffield United defended well that game. And, it's easy to say we had 80% possession, but I don't think we did a great deal with it. All right, there was a couple of dodgy VAR calls, and they are what they were, but we wasn't great, and there's no getting away from it. So I think the fact that we didn't lose it and we scored the late goal, we've got to think, we take the point. Liverpool and Arsenal drew, so we haven't really lost any ground. We're still up there, aren't we? We're still in third.
Yeah.
United got beat, Newcastle got beat.
Yeah.
It's only really Tottenham that won around us. So it's not the end of the world. So I think we've got to be coming in reasonable mood still.
Yeah, and as well, George, like, obviously, when I said to you before we left, if Liverpool and Arsenal draw tomorrow, I'm going to be annoyed then. But it kind of goes to show as well, though, luck's on our side, isn't it?
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. The results seem to be going for us. Those games as well, not easy when you're coming up against a team that's, already now fighting for their lives with a new manager, and Chris Wilder knows what he's doing. The players will buy into what he's saying. So, you look at Newcastle going to Luton and getting beat. There's tough games in this league. And Martin, with regards to United, and I think CC made the comment, they will need to come out at Villa, and they will need to show something for their supporters. That could play right into our hands.
It could do, yeah, because I think at the back, United are so vulnerable. Like, if you look at their defenders, I'm going to say, like, our attackers won't have a tough day in the office. I don't think so, personally, just looking at quality on paper and comparing player to player. But you just never know on the day. But I think Onana has a mistake due in him, and I think that's definitely going to happen in this game because, I remember Ten Hag, he was kind of saying that, I don't know what's happening. We kept the most clean sheets last season. I was like, yeah, because you got rid of your best keeper and you brought in someone who makes mistakes every now and then. Like, because De Gea was bailing out Man United for how long? And now it's actually shown that you should not have gotten rid of De Gea. Yes, De Gea probably wasn't good at his feet, but he clearly shows that his save percentage compared to Onana is a lot higher. But
that's the obsession with the sweeper keeper, mate, isn't it? It's not all the be all and end all. They've regretted that now.
Exactly. Like, I'm sorry, I got a bit sidetracked. We're just getting back onto the game. United are going to want to throw everything forward at us. They tried it against West Ham in the first half. And credit to West Ham, if you look at their defenders compared to Man United, they soaked up that pressure. No problem. Yeah, you want to come at us? No problem. Have at it. We'll catch you on the counter. And they got their due rewards in the second half. Hence a 2-0 win. But again, I don't fear United like a lot of fans would used to. It's just... Then again, I fear the Old Trafford. It's that Old Trafford feeling of Aston Villa that you would fear, but you don't necessarily fear the team itself because it's just the atmosphere.
Yeah, I get you. Totally get you. CC says, can't wait to see Luis Pepe Onana from the corners. John says they will play a low to mid block. We struggle against that, but Emery will find a way. He also says, and I'll come to you, George, on this, he thinks this is one for Zaniolo to start. His height and muscle will be vital. Hopes Torres is back. Longley was decent, but Torres is our starter for our attacking moves. I know you mentioned that before, Martin, but yes, George, do you think this is potentially one for Zaniolo? Any other players that you kind of think maybe they need a bit of a rest, or you think will really catch fire in this game?
Well, there's definitely a chance for Zaniolo. I literally said it the other week, didn't I? He'll get when he got one in Europe. I said he'll get one. He'll go on a run. He just needed a bit of confidence, and now he scored straight away again against Sheffield United. I'm not sure about a start for him, but definitely another appearance off the bench at least.
Yeah, an impact.
My concerns are exactly the same as Friday. No Torres, no Kamara. without Kamara, I don't think Louise is the Louise that we've been raving about. As I said, I've put this on the group chat, but that may be an unpopular opinion. But I just think Kamara makes Louise a far better player. He just does his dirty work for him. And Pau Torres, we missed him Friday night. Me and Martin were saying all night, we just didn't have that range of passing from centre back to sort of cut through the lines and to get us on, just nothing to run onto, was there? Everything we played was
don't get me wrong. Linglet did see the idea. He did see the idea, and I don't blame him for that. But you just didn't have the same execution that Torres would have.
No, exactly. And now I'm really appreciating what Pau Torres is, and I can understand why teams are after him, because there's not many centre backs that can do what the sort of style that he's done so well this year. He's a centre back, and we're thinking of him as an attacking option. Where else in the league do you get one of those? But as for the team, I've just find when Kamara's not there, why don't we just go like for like? All right, then Donker is not as good as Kamara, but just go for one stopper for another rather than keep trying to change things around, move McGinn back and stuff like that. I would just literally, Kamara's not in, then Donker's not in, try and do the same job as best to your ability and don't mess around with the system. But, we'll see, because when Kamara hasn't played, generally, I don't think we've done half as well, have we?
Absolutely no, I agree. And we'll come to my predicted lineup in a second, and again, you guys can have your comments on what you might do. But guys, get your thoughts in the chat as well on that. Does Dendoncker come in? Does he, like George said, is it a like for like? If you bring McGinn back, are you losing that bit about McGinn and also not getting the best out of Louise? We've done it in other positions as well. The Conte to right back issue, but then you've got Cash in that right back, and he divides opinion. So let us know your thoughts in the chat there with who you might start and who you might bring in. I've not really seen anything in terms of press conferences to say that who's back or who's not back. So let me just bring my team up. Obviously, this is what I would do if people are fit as well. So I've gone for Martinez in goal. I think Cash is suspended, isn't he? So Ezri Konsa to right back. Carlos back in with Torres if he's fit, obviously. Luka Dean at left back. I think he'll go slightly more defensive with regards to the Moreno coming in. Luis, and I've put Dendoncker in there for that fact, George. I think you get more out of McGinn further forward, and also that physicality that you might get from a Dendoncker, particularly in both boxes. Then I've kept Ramsey in there, although I think he's one of those players I think who needs games to get him.
Yeah, it's not happening for him just yet, is it? Since he's returned,
no. Leon Bailey in there as well. I think he's more of a threat than Moussa Diaby at present. And then Ollie Watkins up front. So that's what I would do. Not saying that's what Emery will do, but yeah. What about you boys? What are your thoughts on that?
Sorry, go on, Mark. Go on, mate.
Oh, thanks, George. Dendoncker, Big Daddy Donks. I don't know. I can see the idea, like obviously, like George said, that someone to clean the shop up at the back. I'm not in disagreement of it, because if there's one thing, and I didn't even say it to George, I thought we were missing Carlos as well, because he kind of gives Torres that free role of centre back to do what he wants on the ball, and Carlos, you've seen it from time to time, he just drops a yard or two just in case it doesn't pull off, and he's there, and I feel like Konza at this minute is better at right back, only because he likes the left-sided player and left back to bomb up and down, making that right back almost like that third centre half. If anything was going to change, and if I'm thinking of Emery, I think Digne might start this game, because you have to remember, I know Moreno's only come back from injury and he's been looking fantastic, but Digne's played more games consistently on the basis at this minute this season, so I think he'll probably go with him and bring on Moreno then. But who am I to say, and who are we to judge the mister at this minute in time?
Yeah. George, your thoughts?
Yeah, I quite liked your team there, Rich. I mean, we just have to be careful, don't we? Because normally, whenever we go to Old Trafford, it's one place where our high line really doesn't work. Like Rashford always has the beating of it, whether he's playing well, whether he's playing not. Like last year in the League Cup, we'd started the game really well, made a few subs, and they just had our pants down in the second half. I remember just the high line, they just kept exploiting it. It was him one side. I think it was like Alanga the other. So I think a Luka Dean would be better than a Moreno who likes to maraud forward. Do you know what we're really missing at the minute? We're missing the Diaby that started the season, aren't we? Because Watkins is doing great, but he can't do it all on his own. We need a Diaby that's going to bang in, 12, 13 goals? I just think since he's dropped off, we've dropped off ever so slightly, especially away from home. So, part of me is thinking, do we need a Diaby? Do we need to play him into form? Does he need a rest? It's a tough one, isn't it? Bailey's doing great this year. And do you play them both? Do you play one? I'm not too sure, mate. But your team isn't bad, Rich, and I wouldn't be too upset if we went in like that.
Yeah, Lee makes a point there. No Zaniolo. He could have a case to come in, potentially instead of a Ramsey. Potentially in that area, and again, physicality could play a part in that, particularly in that midfield. We know that Man United like to put themselves about. Doesn't matter who they put into that midfield. Obviously, McTominay's quite a big lad. Fernandes likes to put himself about. Obviously, he dives when he gets a challenge against him. We've obviously got the young lad Mainu, who's kind of sits in front of them, but they could play Casemiro, they could play Amrabat. So you can either go physicality and match them physically, or you can outpace them, because there are obviously players who aren't the quickest in that midfield. So, yeah, Zaniolo could definitely be an option. I just don't know whether the cameo of the 10 minutes that he had, and obviously he did brilliant to come on and score. The cameo that he had has done enough to warrant him starting over Ramsey. I'm just not sure about that, but it's a fair point. Also, you need weapons on the bench, and that's what I said before. Man United's bench and who they bring on is nowhere near. And I've thought this of a lot of benches. I know we were a little bit weak on Friday night, but still, a substitute comes on and scores. We had the same against Brentford. Substitutions having an impact. This is exactly what you need if you're going to finish in the top 4, or even, dare I say it, put a title charge on. Your substitutions are absolutely key in getting points for you in games, because you don't win a game after 45, 50, 60 minutes. You win a game after 95 minutes.
It's true, boys. Funny you should say that. I was watching the games yesterday, and I just happened to take a couple of pictures because I looked at the Spurs bench in their game yesterday, and I thought, yeah, our bench is better than theirs. Then I saw the Liverpool game. I took a picture of their bench. They must have had 4 youngsters on their bench. I'm thinking that was strong. The only bench that I thought that was better than ours, I looked at Arsenal's bench, and the first few names I thought, you know what, we've got a stronger bench. But then you see Nketiah, Trossard, and I was like, yeah, do you know what, they've got a bit on theirs. But they're not miles ahead squad wise. All the pundits saying, oh, Villa will fall away, the squad's not strong enough. I just think that's a bit of ignorance, because I think when fully fit, we've got a bloody good squad, and they can keep ignoring us all they want, but. Well, unless all the top teams have got loads of injuries, I can't see too much difference quality-wise myself.
Yeah, and one thing as well, George, obviously they bang on about our away form.
It's not that bad, is it?
It's so annoying.
Great.
It's so
right.
annoying.
And you know what? We're the 6th best, but yet they're not talking about Newcastle's only win away from home was against Sheffield United, and they haven't won any other game after that.
You know what it is, boys? It's I don't like to say this. I know it's a silly old term, lazy journalism, but it's a thing. They hear it somewhere. They might hear it. One person might say it. And all of a sudden they're like, oh yeah, Villa, poor away form. Next thing you hear it on the radio. Next thing it's on Twitter. Next thing it's on TV. And it becomes a thing. Granted, our away form, the performances, I don't think have been that brilliant this season away. But it's not about that, is it? It's about the results. And like you say, what are we, 6th, 7th away from home?
Yeah, we're the 6th best team away from home. We've won 4 games. We drew 2. We lost 3. And for a while, yes, I think it was 2 wins, 2 draws, 3 defeats. And that's you would say it's inconsistent, but it's not bad because of the amount of games you played. And we've gone to win our next 2, and you're the 6th best team.
We've got 7 points from our last 3 away games.
Gone to Chelsea and won. Gone to Tottenham and won. Gone to Brentford and won. Got a draw at Wolves. They're tough places to go, mate. They really are.
Wolves have just beat Chelsea. Wolves beat Man City. Wolves beat Spurs. What I feel like jumping into the TV screen and shaking whoever it is, whether it's Jamie bloody Redknapp, Phil, Gary Neville, Jamie Carragher, just talk utter bullshit about our away form. It's absolute rubbish.
They just don't want to do the work, Rich. They know they're top 6 trained, aren't they, in their research? And when another team comes in, it's like, oh bloody hell, we're gonna have to You hear it in their voices. You think, oh, I'm gonna have to talk at Villa. I need to think now. I need to research. I don't want to do it.
No.
It was the same for Brighton, Newcastle, and West Ham for a few years, wasn't it? They were like,
Exactly.
oh, yeah, they'll kind of drop off. And then when they were starting to drop off, everyone was like, see, this is what happens because then the big teams come in and just take that
We're an
players.
inconvenience,
And
Rich.
they
We're
didn't.
all inconveniences.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just so frustrating because it was the home. It was, oh, they haven't played anyone at home. Then it was, oh yeah, they're away from, or they lost heavily to Newcastle and Liverpool. And then now, oh yeah, but they were lucky against Tottenham and Chelsea. They're on the decline, so they shouldn't really be celebrating that. And it's just, honestly, it's just so,
Like that
it's
Tottenham
so
away game.
it's tiresome. Now it's the squad. Now it's
Yeah.
going to fall off.
That Tottenham away game, I think people have just after half time, they've just shut their eyes and forgotten there was a second half in that game.
That we played them off the park. We played them off the park in. Yeah.
They don't want to hear that though, do they? All it was, Tottenham should have been 5-0 up at half time. They should have smashed us. They didn't take their chances. We took it.
And they were saying that we got a goal against the run of play. And in fairness, we actually did get a goal against the run of play. So that's not wrong. But they didn't compliment how we adjusted our tactics in the second half and just completely dominated Tottenham. And they didn't really do much.
It's not a thing though, boys, is it?
No. Well, look. Hopefully, they'll. We get the result tomorrow. On Boxing Day, they really do start to take notice. Let's have a quick look at the head-to-heads, and let's make that trepidation even more alive. But yeah, we've got to do it. 56 times in the Premier League that we've played each
Look
other.
at that, Jesus Christ!
Wow.
Lads, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah. You don't need to see the recent meetings or nothing like that, Rich. Just get rid of that there.
5 wins in total, 3 home and 2 away for Villa. Last season wasn't a happy game at Old Trafford, although I thought we did play very well. Got caught again, like you said, George Highline, bit of a sucker punch, and we couldn't get the goal back, but we lost 1-0. Obviously, we beat them 3-1 at Villa Park, Emery's first proper game. Got the win before that as well, 2-2 draw in January 2022. And a 1-0 win at Old Trafford. Courtney Hawes scoring the header. So if you actually look at those 4 results in isolation, 2 wins, 1 defeat, 1 draw. And then obviously in lockdown season we lost.
Yeah, but remember they've knocked us out of the cup twice in that time as well.
They have. Looking at recent form, last 5 games, obviously United only 1 Premier League winning for the last 5, losing 3 and drawing 1. And Villa with 3 wins and 2 draws in the last 5. Obviously, the last minute equaliser against Sheffield United, and wins against Arsenal and City in there as well. 8th, as you said, Martin, Man United are at the moment, won 9 games this season, only drawn 1 and lost 8 games this season. So that's probably why they're still hanging around in that top echelons. Obviously dropping even more at the moment, but they either win or lose. That's how it goes. Villa with 12 wins and 3 draws, 3 defeats, 2 goals per game, just over averaging for Villa, 1 for Man United, so not scoring many. Don't concede too many either, but that's very similar to Villa. 6 clean sheets to Villa's 4. Don't create too many chances either. So, again, we talked about whether they strike any fear in the opposition. We can't be going there with anything other than confidence, in my opinion. Watkins there with 9 goals. He's really stepped up away from home as well. So I'm backing him to score again. We should be going there in confident mood. A few comments coming in. What have we got here? Lee said, CC has said, it really depends on Emery's strategy. I'm okay with Zaniolo starting or coming on as a fresh attacking legs. Lee says, Newcastle are out of it now. It's us, Spurs, Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool. Duking it out now for the top 5. I hope you're right, mate. CC also said, I think our biggest issue is us, ourselves. Aside from Liverpool, we have contributed to our losses versus being overwhelmed by the opposition. Yeah, definitely think that. Nigel says Sky is a corporation. Their revenues go down if Big Six narrative is
my man. It's so true.
Yeah. Would be corporate negligence if Sky didn't try to keep Villa down. The stronger the narrative that Villa will drop, the more the rest will make it happen. Seen for years. Yeah, that's why they big it up so much when there's an exception to the rule, a la Leicester or Newcastle or whatever, because it's like, we can't believe that this has actually happened.
And yet it's been happening for the whole bleeding season.
Yeah. couple of questions as well before we get into predictions. So Ian says, do you think we would be better against these low block teams if Buendia was playing in the number 10 role?
Yeah.
I thought we
Well,
missed.
100%.
That's the first time this season, Friday night. I think, did I say to you, Martin? I was definitely thinking it. We could really do with a Buendia here, just someone
Yeah.
to open the lock, man, because we just
He's
couldn't get
got
through,
such-
could we?
Yeah, and
Bit of creativity, bit of guile.
Yeah, I know he's got as well. He's got such a great low sense of gravity that big players just seem to struggle against. Someone who just gets the ball and he turns. I know there's a narrative of, and Rich, I know you've always kind of said this, like he finds himself too busy and doesn't really kind of contribute. But when you've seen the last like few games, their Buendia game, someone who is that little bit busy and he gives the ball off and another chance kind of happens. That's what was needed. Someone just
And we have a lot more of the ball now, don't we, than we did before he got injured. You know, think of our possession now that we have.
I totally agree with you. You know, I think Buendia is a good player. Like he is a good player, and I think yes, you're right. Those are the games where he would come in, because you got to think like he would, you know, say out of 5 passes that he tries, because they're high risk, high reward passes, 4 out of 5 of them might not come off, but you only need the 1 out of 5. Yeah, you only need the 1, and he flicks it off to a Watkins or plays a little back heel or something like that.
I know what. Sorry, Rich. Go ahead.
No, it's what you need, and you know, we need someone like a Diaby to come back into that form, like George says. We need someone, you know, hopefully Zaniolo can keep that confidence going, because in a different way, he can provide that. You know, I can imagine him kind of bustling past 2 or 3 players to put one in or whatever, or you know, like the header he scored the other day, not making a late run into the box, and you know, people don't quite expect it. And Michael says that's why he wanted Zaniolo. Is capable of trying something different. So there are 1 or 2 players that can do it. It's just you know, that's where they need to step up. You know, so hopefully that can happen. Sai says we really miss Buendia's movement off the ball as much of it as anything, and that's right as well. Like it seemed a little bit static. I know I took a little issue with what Gary Neville said, but unless you're like a Liverpool where it's just relentless in terms of like what their style is, you know, they're just constant, the fullbacks. Unless it's like relentless and it's almost like a creaking door that can't quite hold it any longer, and then it just breaks. We're not like that yet. We're still a little bit passive. We're a little bit kind of, I don't know, we're building up that will to win. You know, obviously the more late wins we get, the more late goals we get, which is brilliant, but we're just not quite there yet where that mentality is like, you know, really stepped up. So that's why you need the likes of a Buendia, or you need the likes of a Zaniolo or a Diaby. We need him to come back. We need him to step back up again, because they're going to be crucial for us if we're going to maintain this push.
Just a question for you though, lads. Do you think Diaby's kind of like a drop of form? Is it down to complacency? Like, because he was obviously starting 14 of the first 15 games and he was on form for like the first 7. Do you think he probably got a bit like too complacent, thinking that it doesn't matter how bad I play, I'll start? And now he's kind of got to the point where he needs to actually give himself a bit of a kick up.
I don't know. It's always a difficult one, that, because you want players to be riding high and you want players to be really confident. I would probably hazard a guess that I think he was playing a little bit injured at one time, and we were having to play him, and then from there, I think then his performance has suffered a little bit, and it's hard to get yourself running. You know, there's very little. It's very rare that a player is playing at 100% fitness, and players like a Diaby only need to be 2 or 3% down, and they're not quite as sharp as they were. They're not quite as confident as well. They don't trust their body. You look at Leon Bailey. You know, it's only now he's really trusting his body to do what he wants it to do, because you know he's feeling fit and fresh. So yeah, I don't know if it's complacency more so than a bit of injury, a bit of fatigue, and then that's kind of been a little bit of a snowball effect.
It's funny though, isn't it? Because you know, Diaby coming into the club as like he seemed to have got Bailey going, in my opinion. As soon as Diaby came, Bailey started performing, and you know they were lovely together, weren't they? They had a lovely relationship. But then all of a sudden, like Bailey has taken Diaby's place. And I think from what I know that Diaby was ahead of Bailey at Leverkusen. And I just wonder whether that's knocked Diaby's confidence a bit. I mean, it's either that or the fact that, winter's happened, isn't it? He was a very good player in the nice summer months, wasn't he? August, September, October.
I think he'd have been.
I
don't think Germany's particularly hot, mate. So
I don't know. It just seems funny, isn't it? You see these fair weather players and that.
Yeah,
I
think
where George is coming from, because Germany don't exactly play from the months of December to January.
No, I think it's pretty cold in January and February, to be honest. But yeah, I don't think it'll be that. But yeah, I don't know. They got injured a few weeks ago, says Nigel, and that not the same since. Michael said, I don't think Diaby has dropped that much. The difference is that teams are playing more defensive against us and making it harder. That's quite true. And I just would like him to go back to trying to beat someone. I just think he's picking the safe option every time. Now, I don't know if that's an instruction from the bench, but I just want him to go back and take players on down the outside. He's got the speed, he's got the pace, or receive the ball on the half turn instead of turning back all the time. Like go at teams, because that's what strikes fear into the opposition. He had a real mystique about him at the start of the season, and going into the first couple of months, like nobody wanted to face Diaby. No opposition supporter was always worried about Diaby. So you want to keep that mystique about you, and you want to make people worried. And at the moment, he's kind of making it easy.
That second striker role, though, that's sort of like, I suppose it's not a straight 4-4-2, but you know what I mean? Like Bailey struggled in that position, Buendia struggled in that position, and now Diaby's struggling. I mean, is it as a fact we go down the left too much? Luca Dean's got too much of the ball with his, his slow crosses. Is he just not having enough like time on the ball over there? I'm not sure. He looked like a real player. Like I thought he was gonna. After a few games, I thought, Jesus Christ, this could be a player of the season job. But it's been quite alarming, the drop off.
Yeah. Again, it's not just the player, is it? Because Kamara not being in the side, like you said before, makes a huge difference, because that affects our play down the right hand side as well. So yeah, but like I said, go back to doing what you do best. Go back to beating players, and go back to receiving the ball on the half turn and running at people. You don't need to overcomplicate it. If by any chance Moussa Diaby is listening to this, right, or watching this, just go back to what you do best. That's all you need to do. Remember Brian Clough? Put the ball in the back of the net. That's what I pay you for. Put the ball into the box as a winger. That's what I pay you for. Head and clear the ball as a centre back. That's what I pay you for. Just go back to doing what you're good at. Don't try and overcomplicate it.
And Zaniolo, if you're watching this as well, Rich is your biggest fan, okay, mate? And he's rooting for you.
No. Don't tell him that. Tell him I think he's crap and he needs to prove me wrong. That's what he needs to do. But yeah, anyway, guys, let's get into score predictions. So anyone who's watching, get your score predictions in the chat. I haven't done a reminder yet, but make sure you've liked the video and make sure you subscribe to the channel. I know we're over 3,000, so a massive thank you to all of you for helping support us and help us grow. But we don't want to stop at 3,000. We want to keep going. So like, subscribe, all that jazz. And yeah, if you want to become a member of the channel, it's $1.99. Hit the join button and become an official Villa Pod follower. So, Sai is straight in there, 2-0 to us. Very, very confident. Villa 1982 said 3-0 Villa. Watkins, Diaby, Zaniolo. George, what are you saying for score and scorers?
Oh God, right. I think we're a better team this year than Man United. I think we've got better players, we play a better brand, and we're rightfully 9-10 points clear of them. But at the same time, I think I'm just damaged, mate. I'm damaged with Man United in my head. We've just been tortured by them over and over and over again, with referees, with remember the other year in the cup with Danny Ings, I think we scored 3 goals and they just wasn't never going to give us a goal, were they? They just, like we just said there, Man United in the FA Cup are good business. They want Man United to win. And I think I'm just stuck with that in my head. And Man United will find a way to beat us, whether they physically kick the shit out of us, whether Bruno gets another dodgy penalty like he normally does. I just don't fancy this game, and I think we'll get beat, mate. I think it'll be just like last year. It'll be one of those 1-0s. We'll have loads of chances, but can't quite get over the line. But after that, I think we'll get back to winning ways again. But yeah, I don't like this game.
No, that's fair, mate. That's fair. And all the pundits will be like, I told you so, Villa. Well, but they can't last in the title race. They get a test against Old Trafford against United and they fail, and it'll be all that narrative. So yeah, I don't disagree with you. Michael O'Brien says same as Villa 1982, so he's very confident
Wow.
with a 3-0 victory. CC saying 2-1 Villa, so CC very confident as well. I like that. Nigel said the score will go whatever way the Sky pundits say. Kelly Cates might say 1-1, so I'll go with that. He is well in on the Sky conspiracy. He is well in on there. Marine Boy says we don't normally perform at Old Trafford, so I would take a draw now. Martin, are you more confident than George?
Again, it's the fear of Old Trafford. It's not exactly the fear of Man United. It's the atmosphere of Old Trafford. It's what it brings for some reason to Villa that we just don't really perform. And I think I'm predicting a 1-1 draw. I think United will get one. They'll definitely get one. They always tend to score against us anyway. It's very rare we keep a clean sheet against Man United. They'll get one, and I think I'm gonna back Bailey to get the goal for Villa. I think that one will happen. So 1-1, bit more on the conservative. I'm confident in not losing, but I'm not exactly too confident in winning because it's the fear of Old Trafford.
Yeah.
What are you saying, Rich?
Lee says 3-1 Villa. I was going to lean towards that, but I'm gonna go with 2-1 Villa. I do think we win. I've looked. I can't see the way United are now. I can't see us being intimidated by that situation. The players they've got, if you look at their side, you look at us, we're better than them in almost every single department. We've got a way of playing. We've got a system that we can play. We know if we go 1-0 down, we can get back into games and away from home. I would like us to be a bit more comfortable because I said the other night, I said it does worry me a little bit that we're having to work extremely hard to get back into games. Like, don't get me wrong, I was whinging about us not being able to win from when we go behind. Now it's like we need to go behind to win a game.
Yeah.
But do you not think
I'd like us to be 2-0 up.
away from home we're giving up a lot of chances still, like too many for
Mm.
my liking? You know what I mean? It's whether they take them or not. But
Exactly. I mean, it was the Brentford game. I know I think it was like one other massive chance that they had, and then obviously the other ones were were our doing. Obviously Leon Bailey with the back pass, and then they scored. But Bournemouth was a game where we did give away a lot of chances, and we got out of jail there quite a lot. Tottenham, I think they do that to everything. I mean, you looked at that game against Everton the other night. I mean, Everton could have won at the end. Like Tottenham just burned themselves out. So
yeah,
yeah,
they're all fire and thunder, aren't they?
yeah,
Until they
yeah,
run out
yeah.
of steam.
So I think we win 2-1. I think Watkins gets the winner, and I think someone like a Diego Carlos, I think, will score from a set piece. I'd really like us to score more from set pieces. We're getting better, but I think that those are goals in games, particularly away from home, that really help you to kind of settle nerves or settle kind of score lines. Because if you know that you're dangerous off set pieces, then you really are onto something. So yeah, I'd like to see a score from a set piece. But yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 Villa. I'm a bit more confident than you boys. But we shall see. We shall see. Well, look,
So
lads.
3 different opinions: a win, draw, and a loss. One of them's bound to happen anyway.
One of them's going to happen. One of us is going to be right. Hopefully, it's me.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thank you so much for all your views and help over the year, and obviously thanks to the boys who aren't on tonight. It's been a great year for the podcast. We are going to be back, obviously, with match reaction, match preview before the end of the year, but I just want to wish you boys a Merry Christmas. So thanks for all your help. Thank you for everyone watching. Have a great Christmas as well. Thank you for all of your support. I am going to be on the 12-man podcast in about half an hour, so I know some of you all watch that as well. So jump on there and listen. If I get a word in edgeways about the Villa, I'll try my best to defend the Villa. So yeah, make sure you check out in about half an hour. 8 p.m. on the 12th man. We will be back with match reaction for the Man United game, hopefully a successful one. Talking tactics, match preview for Burnley, which Martin will be at again. So hopefully brings us more luck. yeah, Merry Christmas to you all. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for watching. And as always, remember, we all follow the Villa. Thanks,
Villa
everyone.
Boo.